Today is Stir Up Sunday, the day which we traditionally make our Christmas puddings. Well, I say traditionally, actually the tradition doesn't go back that far. It sort of stems from the Victorian era when people would go to church, and the collect for today, which is the fifth Sunday before Christmas or Advent, would start "Stir up, we beseech thee," and supposedly this was the cue for people to go home and make their puddings and Christmas cakes. Today I am going to be showing you how to make a Christmas pudding. Fairly traditional, although I have adapted my great aunt Eliza's Victorian recipe from 1871 and included Medlar puree because I have lots of Medlars this year and I wanted to make good use of that. But you could, of course, use apple or quince puree instead. So I'm going to pop off now and you're going to see me making the pudding, and I'll be back at the end to tell you how to cook it. Take 350 grams of mixed dried fruit and 100 grams of Medlar puree, but you could use apple or quince puree instead. Add 100 grams each of fresh white breadcrumbs, self-raising flour, dark brown sugar, and beef or vegetable suet. If you can't get hold of suet, you can use grated butter instead. Add the finely grated zest of a small orange and 2 chunks of finely chopped preserved ginger. You know, the sort that comes in syrup. Sprinkle in a pinch of salt and 2 teaspoons of mixed spice. Give this a good stir. Then add 3 tablespoons each of brandy and dark rum mixed with 4 tablespoons of milk. If you want to make this an alcohol-free pudding, replace the booze with 6 tablespoons of orange or apple juice. Break 2 medium eggs into the bowl, then give everything another good stir. The mixture should drop easily off the spoon. If the mixture seems dry, add a little more milk. Now there are various traditions associated with the stirring bit. Some say you should stir from east to west to represent the journey the 3 wise men took when visiting the baby Jesus. Every member of the family should have a stir, making a wish for the year ahead as they do. Finally, don't forget to mix in your lucky charms. Coins like sixpences were usually used, although my family appears to have been a bit more frugal, as Nan used a George V 1920 threepenny bit. Rings symbolise the forthcoming marriage, and thimbles eternal spinsterhood. Spoon the mixture into a well-buttered 1 litre capacity bowl. You can place a small circle of greased baking paper in the bottom to make doubly sure that the pudding won't stick, although I've never had a problem getting a pudding out of its mould. Top the pudding with a buttered circle of baking paper, followed by a square of foil pleated in the middle. This will allow the lid to expand as your pudding cooks. If you are not using a steamer basket, you can also fashion a handle from some string, which will allow you to remove the pudding from the saucepan when you need to top up the water. So once your pudding is in its bowl and you've covered it, you are now ready to cook it. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. The traditional way is to steam it, and it does take a rather long time, I'm afraid. It's going to take 6 to 8 hours, but you could do that in 2 blocks of 3 to 4 hours if that's easier for you, even a day after each other. And to do this, I would use a steamer basket, which is nice and convenient, putting about 5 centimetres of water in the base of your saucepan. And you put your pudding inside the steamer basket. And then steam away for, as I say, 6 to 8 hours. The other option, if you don't have a steamer basket, is to place a saucer like this, upturned in the base of your pan, and then place the pudding on top of the saucer. The reason for doing this is to stop the pudding from catching on the bottom. You've got to make sure, though, that the water doesn't come more than halfway up the edge of the pudding basin. Otherwise, there's danger that the water might leap into or somehow get into the pudding. We don't want that. We don't want a soggy pudding. And then we place the lid on, and again, 6 to 8 hours. The next method, if you have one, and this was a real game changer for me, is to use your pressure cooker. This is a method I picked up from Catherine Phipps from her modern pressure cooking book. Again, modern pressure cookers have these usually have something like this, which you can put in the base, again, to stop the pudding from catching on the bottom. And this will take 90 minutes, actually, for the size of pudding that we're making today. So it's much quicker. That's 90 minutes at high pressure. And then you allow the pressure to drop naturally. So once your pudding is cooked, you need to let it cool. And then after that, you can store it somewhere like a fridge or a larder until the big day. And then it's simply a case of reheating it, by which you can do that by steaming it again for a couple of hours. Although, to be fair, you can't really overcook a Christmas pudding. The longer you cook it, the darker and more unctuous it gets. And then serving it with your choice of sauce. So enjoy your pudding and happy Christmas.